So let me give you an example. This is where I get to share a real life story with you. And it's just one example of the different things that can occur with people who've encountered the 6 acts of receiving material. A lady named Pauline Victoria Aughe. She's a huge proponent of 6 acts of receiving. And she was born without any arms or legs. Now this woman is amazing. She's married, she's had a baby, she drives a minivan. This woman, quite literally, I don't think there's anything that she couldn't do. But there was one thing that Pauline had always wanted to do, but that she really couldn't find a way to make happen. And that was, she wanted to scuba dive. Now, in fact, what's interesting is that this very formidable woman who, in my experience, will try to find a way to do anything that she really wants to do, she had actually come to the point of resigning herself that scuba diving was just something that was never going to be accessible to her. So last year, after participating in what at that time was the audio format of 6 acts of receiving and being part of our focus group that was working through that material at the time, and then she did some one-on-one coaching with me over the summer and then into the fall, she then had a really interesting experience. In December of 2011, she was in the mall with her son. She was in the food fair. And there was a gentleman in the food fair who was watching her with her son. And as she was getting ready to leave, he stood up and walked over to her and asked if he could talk to her for a moment. She said, okay. And right then and there, in the middle of the food fair, he introduced himself as a gentleman who was an owner of a scuba diving shop. And he said that they were in the process at that time of trying out some new stuff, and they specifically wanted to make scuba diving accessible to the disabled. And would she be interested to come and give it a try? Now, I kid you not, this is exactly how that occurred. Now, the magic doesn't stop there. It gets even better. Later that month, Pauline decides that she's going to go to a Christmas party with her husband. And this is a little bit out of the ordinary because this Christmas party wasn't with her regular church. It was with a different church that they don't even attend. But they decided that they were going to go. And at that Christmas party, they met a couple, and that couple invited them to their home for New Year's Eve. Now, they were brand new. They'd never met each other before, let alone they hadn't even gone to the same church together. So Pauline and her husband weren't actually going to go. But as it got closer to New Year's Eve, Pauline just started getting the feeling that she needed to go. So they went. They went to this New Year's Eve party. At this New Year's Eve party, the owner of the home, the woman, said to Pauline that she had actually seen Pauline in Target a month or so ago. And she thought to herself in that moment when she saw Pauline in Target that she would really like to get to know Pauline. So needless to say, when Pauline came to the Christmas party, the lady was absolutely ecstatic that Pauline and her husband agreed to come to their home for New Year's Eve. Well, then Pauline shared with the woman her experience of being asked to come and participate in this scuba diving experiment, and how excited she was to go to the pool that was about 30 minutes away and actually practice and get ready for the training and get ready for the experiment. And here's where it gets really interesting. The lady who owned the home where they went for the New Year's Eve party said, well, look, we've got a pool in the back. Why don't you come and use our pool? And that lady's house wasn't 30 minutes away, wasn't an hour away, was only 5 minutes away from Pauline's home. The magic gets even better. Now, Pauline has a security code to the gate, and they've gone a step further, and they've actually built Pauline a ramp so that Pauline can get in and out of that pool on her own. So Pauline can now go over there whenever she wants, as frequently as she wants, and she can practice. She can practice in that pool. Now, our tendency would be to look at all those things that showed up and go, wow, that's a great thing that she manifested that. And that's where we would stop. But it isn't even really about the fact that those things came to Pauline. It isn't even about the fact that she accepted them as they came to her and that she received them with ease. And in truth, that is notable because Pauline has said herself that she might not have accepted that offer previously. It's not even that now she has the chance to scuba dive, and that's the fulfillment of a dream. What's important to note is Pauline's desire. What has happened with her desire. Because at that time, in the fall leading up to December, Pauline and I weren't talking about scuba diving. We weren't talking even about swimming. Because the truth of the matter is because scuba diving just wasn't on Pauline's radar. She didn't know what she didn't know yet. What we were talking about was how she could tune in to the feelings of freedom and joy. And it just so happens that swimming is one of the key places in Pauline's life where she feels that freedom. She feels that joy. She can get out of her wheelchair and she can stretch out and she can be in the water and she can do things and move around like she can't when she's out of the water. We were focusing on freedom and we were focusing on joy. And look what showed up. And guess what? I can tell you already that because Pauline is allowing herself to be in the signals, she's allowing herself to continue to receive that gift, because she's swimming and because she's in her bliss more and more, other things are starting to show up. Other exciting stories, other patterns, other signals. But those are her stories to tell, not mine. Now, when I share that story, people will ask me one of two things. They'll say, well, did those things come into Pauline's life because she took the 6 acts of receiving material? Or is it because she took the 6 acts of receiving material that she had an awareness, that she was able to see it, that she was able to receive what was already there for her? My answer to those questions are, does it really matter? You see, I guess where I stand on this whole thing is that if you're going to ask that kind of question, that kind of chicken and egg question about which came first, it's distracting you from the point. And the point is that it's happening. It's really happening. And Pauline isn't the only one. That's just one story of the kinds of things that start to happen in the lives of the participants who come in and do the 6 acts of receiving material. And I can't explain it. I can't explain all of it. All I know is that it's been happening over and over and over again. And it's that experience that looks different for every single individual that makes me confident and certain of what it is that I'm offering you right now. So the question that's on the table is, are you willing? Are you willing to try out the 6 acts of receiving material for yourself, just like Pauline did? Are you willing to give it a try too? With the understanding that just like Pauline, it might take some time to show up. It might take some time to gain momentum. But even if it took some time, whether that's shorter or longer, wouldn't the adventure be worth it?